What's the deal?
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Hello.
Greetings
So
and salutations.
we just watched Avatar 2, The Way of
Yes.
Water.
The Way of the Water.
The show is 3 hours and 12 minutes long.
No.
It was. I looked it up.
Oh, really?
I looked it up. I looked up some quick tidbits.
I thought it was 2 hours and 42 minutes long.
It's 3 hours and 12 fucking
Wow.
minutes long. So we just
It
sat
didn't
through
feel
that.
like that. It didn't feel like 3 hours and 12 minutes.
It did not.
No.
So, Ty, what were your expectations going into this film?
No expectations going in. Seeing the first one, maybe like when the first one come out. A
Like
decade ago?
2012? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I seen the first one in theaters. Pretty good. I was pretty young, so I couldn't really have a good grasp of like all the points and themes and political whatnots. But however, this one, after not seeing the original series or the original movie in like 10 years, this one sets you up perfectly. Recap's amazing. I thought visually astounding. I wish I seen it in IMAX, but gotta do what you gotta do.
Unfortunately, we don't have an IMAX theater where we live. But yes, he brings up good points. I feel like you don't need to see the first one to see this one, but it does add to the experience if you have seen the first one.
Yeah.
Just like Ty, I haven't seen this film the first film since it came out in theaters, and I remember not really giving a fuck about it, to be perfectly honest. I was just like, that was alright, I guess. I mean,
That's a common feeling people have. First one said people thought it was just whatever.
people just kind of hate it just to hate it nowadays. They don't really know why. But yeah, I was kind of going into this movie just like I just wanted to check out the spectacle because James Cameron's always doing some new technical shit with like filmmaking and shit. So I was like, oh, that's gonna be cool. But I'm expecting the plot and the story to be ass. So it starts off and fucking it comes in with exposition, heavy exposition, and I'm like, oh shit, what's up with this exposition? Okay, we probably need this because this is a 3-hour fucking movie.
Yeah.
And then it's going through a bunch of time jumps, and I'm like, okay, so far the pacing is fucking breakneck. This is rad.
Yeah.
I'm digging this.
They were going pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I understand because they had to set up all the preliminary story points so that way they can start world building in the middle of the movie.
Right.
And there was a lot of world building.
They had to pick up right from where the last one left off and like get you into the story.
Yep.
And then at the same time as we're introduced to the new family that we're going to spend the most of the film with, it also introduces us to the main antagonistic force, which actually isn't as antagonistic as you would be led to believe. He actually has kind of like a heel turn towards the end, where he chooses to save his son's life. And I thought that was interesting because it sets his character up. I'm kind of jumping all the way to the end. But it sets his character up because I was like, there's no way he's going to let his son die because it's been set up to where he's going to be, you know, he's kind of empathetic. He's not just a boom, like I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, they do
You know
set
what I
him
mean?
up to be that way. Especially
Right.
after the first movie. It seemed like he was just the antagonist was like grunt military marine, like
Just one-dimensional.
one-dimensional, get the job done, hoorah, right? But yeah, they really expand on his character, so I'm excited to see what they do in the trilogy. But there's a lot of family and father-son dynamics in this movie, in multiple characters actually. The new family that we get introduced to, the main family, and then the loose family of the grunt marine operative and antagonist and his human son, who he, spoiler alert, left on Pandora. So
There is a heavier emphasis on family themes and stuff,
yeah,
which was, I guess, that's good because that's kind of like a broad type of theme that can relate to basically every human that's ever existed. So that was cool.
another theme that just came to mind was being outcasted by your clan or community, and how those people operate in those dynamics. I thought that was pretty cool.
Because you have Spider, which is he's an outcast in his own right, but he's also accepted by one community.
Yeah.
But he also
They
still
call him
has that
cousin.
right.
Yeah.
But he still has that longing for his dad. which creates an interesting dynamic. And then you have the whale creature. Don't remember that fucking thing's name.
They kept saying it throughout the
They had
movie.
like Badu. They had like all sorts of weird fucking
they had
names.
terms in the
I'm not memorizing any of that shit. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, then you have that creature that's also an outsider, and then you have the younger son that feels like an outsider to everything as well.
And the older daughter.
Yeah, Kitty. Yeah, I think she might be my favorite character in the movie because
Very low key but big effect on the plot. Yeah.
damn.
But I feel like they could expanded more on like her condition, which they didn't really like. No one knows like really what's going on with her, but they know she's powerful.
Ooh.
Right? Like they didn't really dive too much into that, and she had the health issue, and then she got healed up, and then they don't talk about it really after that.
That's like, what's kind of crazy because there's like so many fucking characters in this movie, but I feel like they all get like a decent amount of like time to like flesh out their
they do.
Because you have the Spider Boy, you have the main character, you have the mom, you have like the other family that you get introduced to that kind of don't get a whole lot of screen time. They're just kind of there, but they don't feel one-dimensional. I don't think there's a single character in this movie aside from maybe like the fucking Carmela Soprano. They got the fucking chick that plays Tony's wife in The Sopranos to play this military chick. She's like the only person that's like one-dimensional, I think.
Very Princess Leia type hologram situation, like
because even like the dude that's making sarcastic remarks towards the harpoon guy,
you can tell just from his facial expressions that he doesn't want to be doing that, but he wants to further his research.
Right, he has a small little line where he's like, I just drink. So he like masks his like depression for what he's doing with drinking, which was a super like subtle missable line, but it just goes to show that like there's so much attention to detail, not even within the script, but within like even like the fucking music, like the visual element,
sound effects,
visuals, like in the beginning, like they have like the face paint and shit, but then that gets replaced when they go to the water world and they have like the fluorescent like fucking like dots and shit. Or like Kitty, like how she has 5 fingers, she also doesn't have like pronounced canines as well. Like little things like that, or like how like the water people have like fucking like fin like fucking things when their tails are coming. Yeah, dude, that shit's fucking. There's like so much to like fucking just like. It feels so lived in. Definitely
worth another rewatch or 2 or 3. It's a very long movie, but I don't think it's one of those movies that paces itself well, and it doesn't feel like it's overstaying its welcome. Some things are predictable though, plot wise. You know the battle's coming. You know who's gonna fight at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it kind of sets you up to think that way, and it does it that way.
Yeah.
But there are a few like I guess highlights and things you don't really expect, but like the big whale thing, being a partner in the war and stuff like that, expected, like things like that. And it's just used for like plot armor, but still like very good action, and for being animated, right, it's pretty insane. And also being that long and animated, that's kind of crazy.
It had almost a $500 million budget.
It's pretty good.
Which is pretty crazy.
Excited to see what the return is gonna be on this movie.
So far, I think it's made like 130 million or something.
So it's still in the hole, huh?
Yeah, and I think it's getting good reviews. I don't know.
Yeah, everyone I talked to said it's a pretty good movie. I didn't have anyone say it wasn't worth the money. So even though it's not like, oh, this is a masterpiece, blah blah, it's still worth the watch. And like,
especially in cinemas,
especially in cinemas. And it's also very like family oriented, so I think that's very important as far as like a movie, like those dynamics. And if you go watch it with your family, it's very comforting. And the action is amazing. What doesn't get old is when she fucking bow and arrows all the
dude. I think there's a part where like she fucking bow and arrows a dude and it gets stuck in his chest, and then she goes up and like finishes it like and shoots another dude behind him with the arrow that's still stuck in. I think it's like it happened so fast. I can't tell if that's actually what happened, but I was like, if that happened, that's like super fucking cool.
Yeah.
But to add to your point, yes, there's a lot of setups and payoffs.
Yeah. Yes.
Like with the oxygen things and the fucking the whale and the fucking all that shit.
Oxygen thing, they do a really good job at keeping it steady throughout the movie. You know how some movies they'll introduce, like Tenet, for example, they'll introduce a concept and then they'll kind of like loosely follow the concept. Here, everyone in specific locations either wearing a mask and you know where they are, or they're like in the background. If you're an Avatar, they're taking a breath of the mask here and there in the scene. They're just like, you know. And I think that's so cool that they pay attention to those details, because it really helps with the world building.
Yeah, it really helps suspend your belief, because you're like,
yes, exactly.
Especially like in the part where like the ship is sinking and they're running out of air and you see the water slowly rising, because in a lesser movie like you would like not see the water rise, it would still be at that same level the entire time. So there's a lot of attention to detail in terms of continuity, which is badass.
Yes,
and then on top of that, going to back to the point where you said it was very family oriented, not just for the themes, but also because it's PG-13, even though there's like fucking there's people getting like dismembered and like fucking there's naked people. There's naked people too, but like they hide their nipples and their fucking ass cracks and shit. And you're just like, wow. Like a dude literally gets his arm cut off, and it's like
very poetic too.
Yeah, that was one.
That's my favorite scene.
Yeah, I did not expect that at all. That was one setup and payoff I was not expecting. Like when I saw the fucking fin of the whale kind of cut off, I was like, oh, that's sad. I wasn't expecting the fucking whale to get payback on him on some Jaws shit. I was like, damn.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
There's like a Jaws homage in there.
Yeah, that dude is gonna be back for sure. Yeah. He's gonna be angry.
Yeah,
he's gonna have like a bionic arm or some shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They never showed what happened to those dudes, so I'm assuming they're probably still alive.
Yeah.
And they introduced them as characters, and then maybe now he will play a bigger part in the military's force and, you know, going back to fight, because they're not moving, right? That's their home. So I think they're gonna bring him back. He's gonna be fucking handicapped or whatever, and like he's gonna, instead of hunting just the whales, he's gonna be hunting the whales and the people with the marine guy. I don't know these people's names. Yeah, but
towards the beginning, when I understood, I was more on the mom side when he was like, "We gotta leave," and I was like, "No, but that's your fucking home, dude." But then like he brought up the point, like where he's like, "Yeah, but violence begets violence," but it's like, all right, yeah, that makes sense, but these motherfuckers, like, they want you, and they're not gonna stop until they come after you, so you're gonna go to someone else's home and then get their shit fucked up.
Yeah.
So that was one thing where I was kind of like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that is so predictable, like Ray saw it coming. Like, why even leave? But at the same time, the fact that they had to leave made them stronger, right? So in that sense, as a theme, to be able to grow, you need to be able to go beyond what you're comfortable with. And so to protect his family, he goes, meets a new family, learns new skills that end up aiding him in the battle at the end. So I do see why they did that, because I don't think they would be able to successfully fight them off if they stayed as forest people, personally.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Because they just had skills that, because the whole thing about the marine people becoming avatars is to gain their skills, their heightened sense of ability to hear, smell, better strength, taller, more nimble, and so it kind of like with their marine, like he was saying, with their marine skills, they're like put ahead.
That's a good point, because the whole time they're learning the new marine skills, the new avatars that are coming, the military avatars, are learning how to live their way of life. Yeah. Whoa, yeah.
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 Damn. Yeah, so Jack, right? Is it Jake? Jake. It's Jake. Jake and his family learning the way of the water. Almost like some Avatar Airbender shit. They're learning all the elements. They'll eventually be so whole and one with the Pandora world that I think it might come to a point, like you were saying, they could go to the Arctic on the Pandora. They could go to the desert in the Pandora, or whatever.
Or volcano land or something.
Be so worldly, and one of Pandora is going to be Pandora versus the Sky People.
That was really like eye-opening to me. That like broke my like. I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. It's like, oh, we're expanding the fucking world. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't really give a fuck about this franchise until I realized that was what was happening, and I was like, oh. Actually like care about this world that we're exploring.
Yeah,
I want to see more. I want to know what's going on.
I think in the first one it was too isolated into one like theme in space, so it kind of felt small even though it was big. Like you still saw the world and the ships like landing and all that, but in a way it only felt like you interacted with one tribe, which it was. So yeah, in a way, even though as big as it was, it still felt small, and this felt like really grand.
Well, yeah, because you also have like the the knowledge of the forest, and to be honest, I'm biased towards like the forest, and I wasn't really particularly interested in that type of like setting. But when they went to like the water and shit, I was like, I like water. This is cool. I hope there's no Kraken creature, because that'll fucking give me nightmares.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then that part where they leave him to be...
That shit fucked me up, dude. I was like, no, this is some Finding Nemo shit. I don't like this.
Yeah, it was some Finding Nemo shit.
Damn. Yeah. And then he gets saved, and then you get to meet the whale dude, and it's like, oh.
Plot armor.
Damn.
Yeah, of course he was gonna survive, but... yeah, I think do you want to do a rating? What do you want? Do you still want to talk more about the movie?
Okay, well, we have to talk about the fucking the graphics. That shit.
Oh yeah.
I was like, when we got to the jungle shit, I was like, yeah, it looks pretty good. But when the fucking sky people first arrive and it's like it's some Star Wars shit, I'm like,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
And I love how they did that because they showed like the depth of the space, like actual space, and them transitioning from outer space, hyperspace travel, and then they start landing. That was pretty cool.
It's really good at like giving you an idea of like sense of scale. Like when you see like an Avatar motherfucker next to a regular person, you're like, that's like a fucking like NBA player times 2. Holy shit. So yeah, and then like when the fucking forest gets set on fire, I'm like, holy fuck, this is crazy. And then when they first go to the water world, I'm like, holy fuck, this is crazy. And then on top of that, like the mocap interactions between the avatars and the regular humans, I'm like, how the fuck did they do that?
Yeah,
and then
very
like
clean.
and then the water interactions between the mocap, I'm like, how the fuck did they do that?
Yeah, and the reflections off of the water. And first things first. So I hear VFX and water and fire are the hardest 2 elements to master in VFX. This movie makes you believe the fire and water is real in the movie. It is insane. Like, I need to do more research about what was actually like practical and what was VFX, 3D, whatever.
I guarantee you Corridor Crew will do a fucking video on it.
Yes.
I hope they. Please, Corridor Crew, do a video on that.
I need that because
they give me all the knowledge on how that shit happens.
But yeah, to be able to like sell the water with the visuals and like make it look so sleek and clean, and then in the ending battle when they have the mixture of like the highlights, like the light from the fire and the water reflecting off, like it's just insane that to do that with animated characters.
Yeah, the animations too, and like not just for the characters, but for like the destruction physics and shit. It's very fucking realistic. Yeah, dude. I was fucking so impressed. I was like, holy fuck. Not even just like the graphics, but like the animations and shit. Like the hair animations in the water and shit too. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I think the biggest things to me was that, and the lighting, how it interacted with everything is just insane. And I can only imagine like how much of that is VFX and how long it took for that to be processed and rendered and all that stuff. Like, that sounds like hell, like the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, to make.
Well, apparently I read the headline of an article where the Carmela Soprano apparently shot her scenes 4 years ago and thought the movie came out and flopped. That's how long ago some of this shit was shot. That's crazy. So this movie has been in production forever. Yeah, I hope it does good. Which I understand. Right.
I think is the time it has been spent in production, I think I'm so glad they took the time to do it because it looks literally amazing.
It is extremely ambitious.
It's very. I think that I don't know any other movie off top of my brain that has that much animation and VFX.
Yeah, it's
like Star Wars maybe.
It's probably the best looking movie of like maybe like the last 20 years.
Yeah, color wise, I love those colors. The blues, the greens, the way, since we're in the way of the water, it's like hella, like even more blue, but then it's like counteracted with the fire and stuff, and like, yeah, it's really just you can watch this film on mute. Like, that's how visually appealing it is. Right. Especially like the night scenes when they were in the forest, how like the subtle sparkles of the skin and like the way, I think it was raining that time, so the way the light reflects off the leaves and stuff, and then the glowing like foliage.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool. Like,
or like when people would talk and you could like see like their neck muscles flexing and
fuck,
shit.
Yeah.
Or like they would like swallow and you could see like their fucking. That shit was crazy.
A lot of things in this movie I noticed were communicated through facial expressions, especially like between the water tribe and the husband and wife. They would really like look at each other and like you can kind of tell.
The mocap was so good.
It was so good, yeah. It's like very expressive and like no thought or implied message goes unseen. So, yeah, it was really good. I think I would give it an 8.2.
Interesting.
Is that low?
No, I'm still thinking about like that fucking I'm still sad about the animals that died. There's only a handful of animals that died.
Yeah,
dude, when the because I
Yeah,
thought just
you
the mom
feel-
whale died, but no, it was the
Yeah.
mom whale and the baby.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting the baby to die. That's fucked up. I hate these people.
They did a good job at making you really care for the creatures and the tribes.
Because they do a lot of eye contact shit with the creatures. And then the sounds
I
they
see
make.
you.
You could tell when they're in distress.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
oh,
yeah.
ah.
It's like when you step on your dog's foot by accident.
You're like, oh no.
Fuck, yeah, no, I'm the worst person. Yeah, it really feels like that. And the way the humans respond, like Spider and the scientists, as that thing was happening.
You're like living through
Yeah.
them vicariously.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was like, maybe obviously it was some like sort of like commentary on like whaling and shit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the process behind that, but it seemed like that's like what happens.
Yeah,
and I'm
there's
like, oh.
a lot of concepts like that. The whaling, and then how they treat the animals.
The way we destroy our world.
And the way how the sky people, us, go to other worlds and just fuck it up. They went there and they're like, fucking turn on all the afterburners.
Yep. That's what's cool about the Na'vi is because they're like basically the embodiment of what it is to be like
One
a
with the
good
world.
human. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I like
Yeah,
that.
because like they don't want to kill. Like they have to like be pushed to the fucking brink before they like oh, I gotta kill you. You know what I mean?
And the way they think, if they kill something, you have to make use of the whole part of the animal. Don't let it go to waste.
Because to them, energy is only borrowed, and like they feel like one with everything. And I was like, ah, that's some Buddhist shit. I like that. Just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the humans, man, like the whole point of them trying to be at Pandora is, well, not only do we want the sky, but we also want to colonize it because Earth is dying. And why is the Earth dying?
Who would have guessed?
The humans. So, So, yeah, we're just fucking being destructive and moving on one world to one world and to one world, trying to conquer and make it our home. Whereas the Na'vi people with the tribes, their home is where they stay. They're not.
And they take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good themes. I think there's a lot of good themes like that are very subconscious and maybe not at the forefront, which is good because I hate when a movie's like so political that it just shoves in your face. This way is very inviting and attractive.
It feels in service of the story. It doesn't feel
Yes.
tacked on.
Yeah, it's not tacked on. Yeah, and now if they did something that was like trying to throw in some political statements about our world today,
Woke. Yeah.
yeah, and you can be woke, but like when you just put it at the forefront of everything, it almost feels like you're just checking a thing off the list, you know?
You can tell if it's in service of the story or if it's a detriment to what you're trying to say.
Exactly. And I think they did this really good, and there's a bunch of themes and ideas that can be taken from this that may or may not be on purpose by the director or screenwriter or whatever.
They had like 4 fucking writers or 5 writers or some shit.
Yeah, and how many editors did they have?
They had like 5 editors or some
That's crazy.
shit, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. I want to see what if they have those editors, I want to see who's helping them as well.
Because
And if it's
imagine
just
how much
them, that's
footage they
great.
had.
Exactly.
Fuck. Out of 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy is because everything felt necessary. Like there's nothing in this movie that I felt like could be cut out. I mean, there's maybe a couple of things.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, altogether, like, very boom, 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 boom,
yeah,
boom, boom.
It doesn't overstay its welcome, and I understand. Like, they have to build the world and like show that growth when they're in their community. There's a lot of like time that goes. I don't know how much time we are in the community of the water people, but yeah, since the time of the last movie, it's a year after, and then we gotta build from that. It's just like
It feels like something is always happening, whether it's world building or character development or like some sort of challenge someone has to overcome. There's always something happening. Regardless if your ass is starting to hurt after sitting in the fucking seat for that long.
Well, I will say that if we sat in the old chairs at this theater, Allen Theaters, which they just updated, if we sat in the old chairs, we would definitely be uncomfortable. But now they updated with recliners and stuff, and they're really comfortable. And honestly, I felt good. Like, I was just like slouching in there. We're chilling, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty hyped about that. But yeah, it's a long movie, so get comfortable.
Yes. Yeah. So 8.3?
I said 8.2, I think.
8.2?
I mean, this magnitude of this movie is huge, and it's like almost 3 hours. I think I want to change my score. I think I want to add some, but I don't know if I'm adding because like I feel like I know how much work went into it. I think based on the movie alone, if I didn't know anything and just like, okay, let's watch this movie.
Do you think it's accessible to casual audiences despite the length?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. But you definitely have to, I would say it's one of those movies like you can put on background for visual, but if you wanted to like know the story, you would have to like actually pay attention and watch.
That's the thing. Yeah. If I watched this like on HBO at home, I would not give it as much attention as I gave it watching it in the cinema.
Yeah, definitely.
Hands down.
Yeah. But I will say though, if I had it in the background and it was just on there, I would like, if I was walking by doing chores, I would stop to watch a scene just because how beautiful it looks. Every scene is like really nice looking, and the light, like the highlight when they're at the water tribe and they're inside the hut, and the highlight hitting their face and the water reflections, like it's so dope. I think this movie will stand the test of time as far as like VFX goes. I think my final, as of today, what date? What's the date?
It's the 20th?
December 21st.
21st.
No.
Is it the 20th?
I think it's the 20th. I think this is ahead. Let me check. December 20th. Yeah, it's the 20th. Tuesday. 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be generous. Because to me, like, I view this as like the same experience as God of War. I only played God of War once.
But it was a spectacle. And
it's something that I'll never forget. And I tried to replay it, and it was just not the same. I don't think I'll rewatch this movie anytime soon. But it was just such a profound experience.
Oh, good.
That it's like, it left me thinking, like, wow, I just witnessed like something maybe even better than I even recognize. You know what I mean? Because maybe this movie will be talked about in like 30 years from now for being like a technical achievement.
You know what I mean? Would hope so. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say I'm gonna have to give this like a 9.4.
9.4. I like that.
Just for like the pure ambition alone, and like
very ambitious.
The amount of things it was trying to do and like executed upon efficiently, like that's immensely impressive.
The worst thing about a movie trying something that is not of our world is suspending your belief. Like, that's the hardest part, to get you to think that this is real and not of our earth. And it does a good job at that. One thing though that was kind of like throwing me off at first was Spider, just the way he looks, like white kid with dreads, like, nah, you know, like, but I get it because like it's also showing dichotomy of him being the Marine Corps son, and but he looks like mad different because that's the way he was raised, and I get that. It just like, I don't know, sometimes it just looked corny, but like I think that's the point though.
Yeah, I felt kind of like I was watching like a Scooby-Doo episode featuring Tarzan or some shit. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. But
yeah,
I mean,
at first, it's just like his acting is not like amazing and does the job.
I mean, for the kid actors they had in the movie, it was actually surprisingly well.
Yeah.
I was not annoyed by any of the kid actors. Like, I was like, oh, I can like actually understand and empathize with these characters, even though they're fucking children. Because usually children in movies are fucking annoying.
Terrible, yeah.
God, I just watched Black Adam and there's a kid in that movie. God awful. I wanted to strangle him to death. Yeah. God awful. I hated him. But in this movie, I was like,
it felt very normal.
Yeah. Like the banter they had with each other and shit. It was like, yeah.
So 8.5 and 9.4.
Yeah.
What is the average in between that? That'd be like a 9? 8.9? Round it up to 9.
Yeah. that was a fucking spectacle, a sight to
Yeah.
behold.
Definitely worth the money to watch. So if you haven't seen it, go see it.
Yeah, see it now while it's in theaters
Yeah.
because that's the best way to view this motherfucker. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it might be cool if you have like a fucking home studio or some shit, if you got like a home
Yeah.
theater or something, but otherwise, the theater and the cinema, please go give James Cameron your money. I mean, I get it, he's got a fucking fat ass ego, but the man kind of earns it. He did T2. He did Aliens. He did
Yeah.
this movie.
Really good track record.
Man, yeah.
You don't have to watch the first one, so if you don't want to waste your time, just go watch the second one and enjoy it.
You do not have to watch the first one, but it will add, because there was times where I was like, wait, what? I
Yeah.
forgot what the fucking happened.
If
in
you
the
watch
first
the
one.
first one, you will definitely get that nostalgia factor. Like, oh, I remember that scene, or I remember when that specific thing happened. Other than that, I think it's not necessary because they do all the exposition in the beginning.
Right.
But if you want that better, that connection,
Yeah, he's connecting his ponytail into your fucking cervix
yeah,
right
if you
now.
want that better connection with the movie, I would definitely suggest watching the first one, not on the same day, maybe a day before, a few days before, because you'll be watching. How long is the first one?
I think it's like 2 hours or something.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself. But if you can do it, do it. But yeah, definitely don't have to watch the first one. Watch the first one if you want to have better connection to Yahweh. So that's all.
Yahweh! On that note, we're gonna get the fuck out of here. That's 30 minutes. So yeah,
Nice.
end of the day, go watch that shit. Have a good time. Jerk off if you need to beforehand because it's a long ass movie.
Yeah, and you can't do it in the theater, so.
No, they'll kick you out. I tried. All right, smooches.